All right, Nick, here we go. A leadoff hit.
All right, here we go.
Hopefully the buzzing slash popping noise goes away. I don't think I fixed the popping noise. I could be completely wrong. Chat will probably could let me know. There's a way to fix it, but I've yet to diagnose exactly how. So maybe by tomorrow it will be fixed. Maybe it's fixed now. Who knows? There's miracles.
Got bad news.
It's not gone.
Hopefully no one else is listening with headphones on. I think if you probably don't have headphones on, you probably can't notice it that bad.
I'm gonna sit here and just mess with this the whole entire inning unless it gets crazy here.
How we doing, chat? And reverse nice ball game going on.
I think I'm gonna cancel out the input and put it back in for my microphone. It could completely mess things up. I don't think it will. I won't have a microphone for a second is what I think will happen. We'll find out.
Okay. Let's see what we got. Da-da-da-dum. Da-da-dun-dun-dun. Da-da-dun-dun. Da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
I don't think I like it.
Say something again.
Say something again.
It's still there.
I don't know what it is, man. It's got something to do with
Are you no longer broadcasting from Trace's house?
No, I am. I think.
Did you switch computers?
Yeah, I switched computers, which is kind of what jacked me up. I took the computer from the studio in here. Hey, how do you adjust that web browser real quick? Yeah, because I feel like it's making my microphone all jacked up. Yeah. So I have to delete it out is what you're saying. All right, I'll do that. We'll give it a shot. Oh, and then I just put it W64 or whatever it is.
Hold on while you got him. I got a question.
Nick has a question.
Is the source on Twitter something different than Trace's house because it's not popping up?
Yeah, he's talking to you. I don't think so. Hold on a second.
I don't know how to create like a new source to get to it. We won't be able to get clips for the show.
I'll figure that out. Thank you. See ya. Some live on air troubleshooting
Riveting.
here, as the Reds have a chance
content.
to tie the game on a home run. We can figure that out after the show, Nick. Not a problem. I mean, or I can figure it out now. To be honest, is it not? Is it not?
Your source is not popping up. It's saying invalid.
Do you have the URL in the stream?
You know what? Nope, it's me. I screwed up. It's me.
All right.
I switched.
All right, listen, our graphics are gonna go away for a minute. I think I'm gonna have to open up.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to open up. I'm gonna try to get this all prepared before I start canceling stuff out of here.
Yep. Med Rosario still can't hit
Right-handed pitching.
Yeah. All right. We're on Twitter. Thanks. Night, Will.
Will Benson hits a home run here. He's all the way back.
And David Bell. And I may cancel David Bell for pitch hitting last night. Man, that first swing makes it look like David might have made the right call.
I don't know. This is the type of guy that he can run into a baseball, though. I'll be honest.
Oh.
He must be just slightly ahead of me, which is fine.
I'm watching the A's broadcast tonight.
Put URL. Okay. So let's get out of there.
Good take, Will. Almost hit his head, but good take.
Close that. Let's.
Good take, Will.
Add this. Okay, Casey said web version 63, but there's only 62. That means it has to be that.
That's the ball game.
Are you saying the game's over?
Game is over.
How did it end?
Check swing, swing a miss. Couldn't hold up.
Damn, I just seen it. All right, we're gonna start the show. Did it go away?
Talk.
No? Maybe?
Yeah,
yes?
I think so.
All
Yes.
right, man. Hey, you just gotta work through the.
We're back.
You got to work through it, you know? You got to work through it. At least something went right tonight, kind of. I mean, hey, the Reds did score some runs, though. We'll get into it. We'll talk about it. That's what we have to do because we said we're going to do it after 162. I'm a little, flustered right now because I don't know where my stuff is because I've been just resetting everything. But I think we've found where we need to be, and it's just after thanking Joey Votto. So here we go.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
Center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, here we go, Nick, on another edition of Chatterbox Reds, and it just so happens to be another losing one. The Reds fall 6-9, or some would say 9-6, to the Oakland Athletics. There was some bright spots in this game, but mostly low points. I'm sure we'll have a discussion on Bido, a guy that we were debating on how to say his name for what seemed like 10 minutes last night. Well, by about the 5th or 6th inning, you got a good opportunity to hear his name said plenty of times, which we'll get into in just a moment with the Boschko recap, I'm sure. Nick, I right now I'm not I'm not a well-liked man on X, and that's fine. I get it. There's times where perhaps I could use better judgment on timing of tweets. But you know what? I stand by things that I feel at the moment I feel them. But at the same time, we have a show to do. I'm sure there's plenty to talk about. Hopefully you're doing well. You got a big smile on your face, so that's a positive.
I'm doing well. Another day alive. Our Dayton Dragons are playing well, Trace. They were down 3-0. They fought back. They're leading 5-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Dragons are playing so well. Thinking behind the scenes to Chatterbox Studios North here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I switched the TV to the Roku. I mean, I have to manually unplug an HDMI, plug in the other one.
You're saying this is hard work.
To switch to the Roku during the only 2-minute intro. I only get the 2-minute intro today, so I could watch the Dayton Dragons and watch the end of this. So
yeah,
it's a fun baseball team. If you're pissed off about the Reds, stop watching the Reds, put on the Dayton Dragons. You'll be in a better mood. It's really on you.
That's fair. I mean, that's semi-fair. Before I get in the show, Alex Binyas Harris said that his super chat didn't get answered yesterday. Can you please let me know what super chat that was? Just put it in there in all caps. I'll look at it and read it. I think I got to all the supers, but maybe not. I could have missed one. I'm happy to on a night like tonight. I'm very happy to make sure that whatever we missed gets definitely caught up with. Nick, I want to be honest with you. I think right now we need to do a quick wellness check for Nick. These box score recaps, they can be whatever you want them to be. I mean, if you want to just kind of open up the web browser and jump into MLB.com and just read the summary real quick, I think many of the viewers will be fine with that. I think we'll all understand. You don't have to kill yourself before the show starts. You don't have to do all this heavy lifting and try to come up with an eloquent box score recap. But if you want to, you can. But I'm just openly saying, as a partner in crime here, that me and I'm speaking for the chat. You can give yourself a little bit of a break here. We want to maybe put you on like the kind of the IL kind of, like the rest of the team.
We got a couple paragraphs.
All right. Well, maybe tomorrow. Everybody listen to me, Thomas Red, anyways. Go ahead, Nick. It's the box score recap presented by you.
All right, Reds taking on the Oakland A's. Game 2 of 3 at Great American Ballpark. Reds going with a bullpen game for a second straight day. And Fernando Cruz got the start. He gave up a solo home run before he threw his first strike. Quickly 1-0 Oakland. Cruz, to his credit, settled in very well and ended up giving the Reds 3 quality innings. He, in fact, only allowed 1 base runner the rest of the way and struck out 6. The A's kept hitting solo homers off the Reds. Sam Moe and Casey Kelly each gave up bombs. The A's finally scored their first run of the entire series, not via the home run ball in the 6th, and they took a 5-0 lead. Reds offense was completely dominated by Osvaldo Bido through the first 6 innings. He had only allowed 1 base runner going into the 7th, but Elly De La Cruz led off the bottom of the 7th with a single, and then Tyler Stevenson doubled him home for the Reds' first run of the game. 5-1 game, Tyler Stevenson extended his hit streak to 12 games. Then with 2 outs, Reds started a rally. Santiago Espinal doubled home the Reds' second run. Ty France singled home the Reds' third run. Ahmed Rosario singled, putting 2 runners on base for Will Benson. And Will Benson hit a 3-run homer to put the Reds up 6-5. But that 6-5 lead lasted an entire 3 batters. Emilio Pagan gave up 3 straight hits, the third being a 3-run bomb. Pagan would give up 4 runs in total in the 8th inning, and the Reds trailed 9-6. Reds would bring the tying run to the plate in Will Benson in the bottom of the 9th, but Will Benson struck out on a check swing to end the game. Reds lose 9-6, loss number 70 on the year for the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, we got a deep drive of the day, baby. And it was a deep drive by Will Benson. Big home run. Big home run in the game. It would give the Reds a 6-5 lead. It was a 3-run bomb. His 13th of the season. 99.5 off the bat, 365 feet. That's a launch angle, if you do math, 36 degrees. The win probability for the Reds, get this, it would jump a whopping 76.2%. That is a crazy amount. They had a 55% chance of winning, and as we would all find out in the very next half inning, that chance went to basically zero. Anyway, Reds would ultimately lose, but what isn't a loser is DSC. They are a leader, actually, in renewable energies and commodities, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information, and thank you to John and his team. I'm just thankful that there's actually a deep drive of the day. That's good. I'll tell you what, Oakland hits the ball hard, man. I'll give them some credit. Like I know. Here's the sad thing. I was thinking. This is actually what got me in a really pissed off mood, Nick. It was a combination of a lot of things. Of course, you sit there on the couch, you're just trying to enjoy a game. I know they're relatively meaningless, but then they start to just wear on you. You're like, oh, okay, maybe we could try to get on base after the third or fourth inning, and we finally do that. That's cool. Then I have to hear about Barry. Like, I don't even know what he was trying to do. He was almost trying to figure out a reason as to why Bido was having so much success, and he's looking up all these metrics and nothing's standing out to Barry. And it's just like I don't know what he's doing there, but nonetheless, I'm not trying to complain about everything, so I'll move on. And then I started thinking, this is what really got me in a sour mood. I started thinking about all the fan bases that I used to think, and I not long ago I would be like, man, how terrible would it be to be a fan of this organization? You ready for them? The A's, who basically might sweep us. The Pirates, who basically did just mop the floors with us. The first place Royals. The Guardians. Maybe we're due. Maybe we'll be next in that line. I don't know. But it just was a sombering moment there as I was thinking about how bad some of these teams are that I thought were bad. And I keep thinking, wow, maybe this is what other cities say about the Reds. But it could be wrong. Maybe not. Anyway, you got Welp on the rundown. You got anything to add that you want to get into before we get into who knows where?
Yeah, the A's are 7th in Major League Baseball in home runs. They're like 3 away from being in the top 5. So it almost feels like the A's would be much more better suited in Great American Ballpark, and the Reds would be better suited out in Oakland. Just like the way the teams are. Oakland's just a random thing about the A's. They're like one of the worst teams in baseball in doubles. Like they only hit homers. Like that's why I'm like, man, that team is like absolutely built for this ballpark. But it's all about, perspective with where you look at where your team's at, because like obviously Oakland came into the year with as low as expectations as you could possibly have if you're not named the Chicago White Sox. And they're playing pretty good baseball right now. And obviously they don't have a lot of fans and they got the whole, leaving town saga and all that. But if you're a fan of just watching that team right now, they're a pretty fun team to watch. They have good energy. They're playing well. Their season's been over since April. And they have a worse record than the Reds, but people who want to tune into their games every night are having a lot more fun right now than Reds fans are. That's what expectations. And you were right on this last year. You talked about enjoy 2023 because once the expectations start coming in, it really makes a lot of baseball not as enjoyable unless you really play well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, last year was a taste of the medicine, right? It was like it almost, and I don't want to get into maybe inappropriate gestures, but it's almost like they gave us a little taste of something that we probably shouldn't tasted, and then all of a sudden now we kind of got a little hooked on some concept that we were closer than we really were, and here we sit with a lot of questions that we're probably going to stew on for a very long time until they start playing meaningful baseball again at the beginning of next season. I guess that's where I'm going to go next. So obviously I put out the Will Benson hits a big home run, right? 3-run homer, gives the Reds a lead. Also, this was on the cusp of a really good rally, Nick. Like they find a way to get 2 or 3 2-out hits to extend the inning. Will Benson comes up and he executes and hits a ball over the wall, and I kind of put out the tweet of, that's going to give Will Benson another 5-month extension, which was a little bit of a joke and jest, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, that seems how, like, it almost seems like, Nick, that the Reds are damned if they do, damned if they don't in a way. I don't think the Reds are. I would hope the front office and whoever else is making the decisions for the lineup every day is not taking, a big home run in a certain spot and they overvalue it based off of the landscape or the overall picture of what things look like. That was more or less the joke that I was making. I think that there's not a better person on this team than Will Benson. If I wanted to hang out with somebody or be friends with somebody, Will Benson's quite honestly at the top of the list. Might be the top of the list. Has nothing against him. I think he's awesome as a person. It's just that I've become so stale on those types of players in this organization now. And I don't know if it's, and it honestly dates all the way back, and I know people are going to kill me for saying this a little bit because he's a fan favorite, but it dates all the way back to even, and trust me, I would kill to have a Jay Bruce on this team. But it dates all the way back to like Jay Bruce, where it's just like, how can you look so good for a certain amount of time and then be this bad for this long? And then all of a sudden roar back. Maybe I'm longing for something that doesn't exist, but it's like, I just want some reasonable, consistent player that isn't so Jekyll and Hyde. And Will Benson fits in that category. And I will openly admit, Nick, there's a chance Will Benson's an all-star again in Major League Baseball at some point. But the fear that I have is like the opposite, which we wait around for crazy amounts of time hoping that we're going to get something, and it never comes to be because there's just every so often flashes of this brilliance that is Will Benson. Tonight, makes an excellent play in right field, runs a ball down, might be one of the better looking right field plays that we've seen all year. And then all of a sudden he hits a big home run. But then my next question is how often does this happen to where you can deem it as necessary to give him and continue to give him opportunities?
The good thing about Will Benson is he still has options, right? You don't have to count on Will Benson next year, and he can still be a valuable player in your organization. I think it's very clear right now that Will Benson should be penciled in to start 2025 in AAA. That doesn't mean we can't root like hell for him the rest of the season. That doesn't mean like he can't have an incredible spring and force his way onto the 2025 team. But if the Reds are serious about competing in 2025, they need to have Will Benson be penciled in as your AAA depth. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wish we had better players I wish we had Will Benson type players when we needed them this year, right? When the Reds had to really crawl down into players and depth pieces that we weren't expecting at any point. But look, Will has all the talent in the world. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too optimistic. I have a hard time believing what Will Benson did last year was completely fluky just because of the way that he went about it. It was a lot of power. It was a lot of really good at bats. It wasn't like a guy coming up and, having a BABIP of 350 and balls fly, and it felt like what he did was legit. I don't know. Time will tell. But again, you don't have to count on Will Benson for him to still be someone that you like in your organization and for him to be a contributor and a more of a potential contributor down the road.
Yeah, and I want to make something very clear for those that might not have understood what I said. I am not comparing Jay Bruce to Will Benson under any stretch of the imagination. I was just trying to compare the general nature of being a very hot and cold type of player. Will Benson certainly this year has been extremely cold versus the hot portions, but I'm with you, Nick. I do think last year it is a weird dynamic with him because it felt like he had good at bats last year. He's seen the ball well, right? What all the terms that you would use for guys that seem to be patient at the plate and they have what I would say some semblance of plate discipline. I don't want to say that's completely eroded, but it just seems like that isn't the same Will Benson that we're even close to getting this season. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing. It seems as if Will is very much a mental player, and he's even openly admitted to that. So maybe it's just kind of a a tough stretch that he was unable to get out of that funk. But again, I have a hard time believing that you want to rely on those types of players when it means the most if you feel like you have the best team in baseball. If you don't have, again, one of the best teams, I don't want people to take these things literal. If you're going to convince me that we're never going to have one of the best teams in baseball and the only way we're really ever going to win a World Series if we sneak in the playoffs and we have 4 or 5 really streaky guys that get hot all at the same time, then okay, I guess then we could fit the Will Benson type players into that mold. I just don't think there's that many teams in the league that rely on too many of those types of players. All right, jumping into Fernando Cruz. He obviously started the game. He threw, I think it was the most innings that he had thrown consecutively. Certainly this year, maybe in his career. Is that? Am I off base on that? I don't want to put that in the atmosphere without it being true, but all in all, I mean, we say this far too often about this pitching staff. He gave us more than we ever could have expected. I don't even think David Bell thought that Fernando Cruz was going to go this deep into the game and essentially put up, he put up mostly zeros. I know he gave up a run, but this team's struggling to find innings. I mean, we'll get into that in a minute, but they need all the help they can get, Nick, and he did a good job.
First time he never got an out past 2 innings. He'd never gone more than 2 innings. Looks like he hadn't even gone 3 innings, Trace, since like 2018 in the minor leagues. I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, that was, and honestly, like he gives up that home run and you're just like, here we go again. I mean, like God almighty, like this guy's just absolutely toast. That's what my thought was, if I'm being honest, and impressive stuff from him to bounce back. And, that's the kind of good stuff you want to see from Fernando Cruz, is that he doesn't like hang his head after, a brutal start to the game and gave the Reds some quality innings. He's a guy that I do believe in a lot more than Will Benson right now going into 2024, 2025, just because I do think a lot of his is fatigue. Now, I also think it's also some of the league catching up to him, but you see a night like tonight and you still see the capability. He has the stuff that once he fine tunes it, once he works through some of his issues, I think he's going to be a very quality reliever for the Reds next year. And tonight was a really impressive outing from him after that first batter.
The only concern I have about Cruz at this point is his age. I don't know how off seasons really treat you in those types of years. And as I've mentioned this before with these guys, they usually fall off cliffs, most of them. It's kind of like there's not really a huge, like a very slow, gradual decline in these guys' careers. It's very much abrupt. And I think that you could even say that probably Joey Votto in some certain instance was kind of that semblance of a case. And he's kind of the most notable person that I could think of from a Reds perspective that obviously ended his career, that had a really good career, and Joey Votto had a great career. So Cruz, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to bank on him being a person that we can trust in 2025, but good for him for going out here and sticking it out. The one thing you can say about Cruz that I love the most is he is a competitor, and he's not going to be going on the IL for some things in which I would think that other guys may be going on the IL for. And I'm not trying to specifically point guys out, but there's a lot of guys that seem to go on the IL over the last 2 years on this team over some things that I'm not quite certain that other guys just don't play through. Whether you believe in that or you don't, sometimes you do need to be available. You're not going to feel perfect all the time. Jumping to the back half here, Nick, there's some folks that obviously are asking about the 8th inning, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the Game Time app. If you're looking to go to a game and or a concert, download the Game Time app. They even have Game Time picks at this point, which is an opportunity for you to get on the app and to check out the different types of areas of opportunity when it comes to ticketing. We've said it all season long. We've used the app. It's a good app. 2 clicks, check out, lightning deals. Right now, I mean, listen, I know you probably don't want to go down to the ball yard, but you're never going to get better pricing to go down to Great American Ballpark. Today, I checked the Game Time app. It was $7, Nick, $7. And you know where your ticket was? You were 5 rows off of 135. For those that don't know, that's like 2 sections past the dugout, 5 rows from the field, $7. And by the way, that $7 is all in pricing because that's the tab that I click because you don't need to check out and then realize there's fees at the end. Download the Game Time app today. Use the code CINCY, CINCY. You get $20 off your first purchase. And 988, yeah, it seems prevalent. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this team has certainly affected my mental health, and it's not for the good. But if you're in a spot where you need some help, as always, please text or call 988-MANTherapy.org as well. Let's do this. Let's jump into the 8th inning really fast because the last few things on this show, really more or less, are positive things. And we try to keep it even balanced on this show and make it to where it's not always doom and gloom. And as much as I'm frustrated, Nick, I can also openly admit that many of these things don't fundamentally probably matter. They're just frustrations that we're all venting at the same time. So the 8th inning was the frustrating part. And I will openly say this, Nick. We've given Nick Krall a ton of credit, and I have given him credit as well. But whether it's Nick Krall or the previous regime, this organization has swung and missed on free agents, probably more than we'd like to admit. And I will openly ask you and I know there's ifs and buts and candy and nuts, but Nick Martinez single-handedly saved this offseason. If it wasn't for Nick Martinez, how pitiful has this offseason been?
Yeah, I mean, Martinez definitely saved this offseason. I mean, you do have to remember the type of players that the Reds are signing, your chances of success rate's probably about 50% when you're talking those type of players. I think anyone reasonably would expect that. But the Reds do feel like they've been well below that 50% threshold with these type of signings. It feels like they've done better with the bottom of the barrel signings than the ones they've actually had to put 10, 15 million on. So, yeah, I mean, Jeimer Candelar's defense is just the thing that completely made that contract look terrible right now. It's not that he's been the average hitter. I think you could look at that and go, he's been hurt a lot. He could bounce back. But the fact that you have no confidence whatsoever that he can play third base makes that a bad contract. There's no way around that. Now he could hit and be decent enough to make it not an atrocious contract, but yeah. It's hard to see that being a good contract without him being able to play third base. And that was the thing you were banking on, his ability to do that coming into the year. So that sucks. Montes was okay. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to really judge that one because they bailed on that in July. Does kind of live on through Joey Wiemer. So Joey Wiemer could end up being a player for the Reds. Then that's a great free agent signing, right? I mean, Pagan's looked pretty rough. He's been hurt a lot this year too. I don't know. I don't really know what to make about Pagan. He's the one that has such a small sample that it's hard to really go too far one way or the other, but you really hope that he can bounce back next year.
Well, that's what I meant. I bring up that because ultimately tonight they get a chance. They take the lead. Will Benson hits a big 3-run home run, and you give it right back in the very next inning. And you don't even – not only do you give it right back, you give it right back before you really even record an out. And I know that maybe not seem like it should matter, but it's certainly from a morale standpoint is just devastating. But the bullpen, hey, listen, they're asked – what are they asked to do? They give 18 innings, essentially, the last 2 nights. Probably not going to go well at some point over those 18 innings. Tonight, it turned out that the 8th inning wasn't so great. And we'll find out because here soon, the Reds are going to have to dig deep into the well for starting pitching. And we'll get to that in just a moment about what they had to do, in my opinion, to help fill that void out of necessity. We'll discuss right louder in just a minute. Tyler Stevenson continues to look good. 12-game hitting streak. I don't know, 12-game. Is it 12-game hitting streak or on base?
Hitting streak.
Hitting streak. So, and my thing with Tyler Stevenson, I don't know. I don't know if it's just comfortability because there's not a lot of pressure right now, which I hate to be like that, but that's where my semi-constructive mind goes. So I better just shut up on shows like this because I feel like I just degrade anybody that did anything good anymore. I don't know, but I'm happy that Tyler Stephenson's playing well, even if it means that the Reds are really playing baseball in front of 250 fans right now, and Tyler Stephenson's playing well. But I hope when there's 25,000 fans that Stevenson continues to play like this.
Yeah, he just keeps hitting. It's just an impressive year from him. That was a good swing. The Reds were down quite a bit, but obviously Bido had been dominating all game. And that was the last hit off Bido that knocked him out of the game. So that I think adds a little extra value to him extending the streak just because it came against a guy that was pitching so well. So yeah, he's one of the pieces that I'm really excited about going forward. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to say about Tyler Stevenson. He's been one of the brighter spots, and tonight it's a shame that really the rally in the 7th inning went spoiled, and Pagan got absolutely shelled. Five hits, 4 earned runs, and a lot of those balls were hit extremely hard. So we'll see if Pagan's able to bounce back. Another opportunity for something that I would say is meaningful. One thing to watch that might actually get the juices flowing again, Nick. It really does bring a little bit of excitement. And I don't think that's why you bring guys up, to be clear. There's no reason that they should just be bringing somebody up just because, we need some help. There's a marketing shortage here. We need to figure out a way to keep this fan base interested. I don't think it's that. I do think, Nick, however, instead of it being a marketing tactic, I 100% think that it's a necessity thing at this point. If a lot of those guys that are on the IL, and you could quite frankly list the entire starting staff almost at this point, Rhett Lauder is probably not going to get an opportunity to pitch in the big leagues this year. I think three weeks ago I suggested, hey, does Rhett Lauder get a chance to pitch maybe in September? Well, turns out he's going to get there just before September. He's going to get called up and get a chance to start for the Reds.
Yeah, it's interesting they're starting him in the doubleheader. That makes me think it's a one-and-done type situation, and I think that was strategic. The Reds thinking, hey, we need a starter. Let's call him up. Bring him up during the doubleheader so we can kind of tell Rhett, look, we're bringing it up for one start. We want to get you a taste of the big leagues, and we don't want to put a ton of expectations on you that you have to pitch well to stay up here. That's my guess is why they're pitching him the doubleheader. And again, I don't have an issue with it. He's been incredible. I mean, a 0.51 ERA his last 6 starts. So yeah, I mean, look, get him a taste of the big leagues. He's a guy that you really kind of have to count on to be a contributor next year. Just kind of where he's at. Again, you're not going to make a whole lot about what he does, good or bad.
Yeah.
This year, but him getting up here is a good sign of where he's at and how much he can contribute next year.
I think for this team to be special, this organization, franchise, whatever term you want to use, they're going to rely on probably four or five guys, in my opinion, over the next 3 years. Rhett Lauder, Chase Burns, one of the two have to hit. Then you get into a situation where you have Ellie, McLean, and Marte. In CES. Out of those 4 guys, Nick, 2 of those guys, it looks like one's a lock, right? And I don't want to jinx anything. 2 of those guys have to be above average big league players, okay? And then I would argue out of this group of Dayton, the crop that Dayton has right now, I would argue there's probably 4 or 5, I'd say, players on that team that you could argue could possibly make the big leagues and be impactful. I think 2 of those players, and I know everyone's going to say, Cam Collier. I don't want to put that much pressure on Cam Collier. Clearly, he's one of the main guys that we all are excited about. But I think 2 of those guys probably need to find themselves in a position where they can help this team in 2 to 3 years. And I know that people hate hearing that, but that's what's going to have to happen for this team to have sustained success, like this front office has said. I of course think that there always can be one-off runs where you have just this combination of a bunch of special players that gel at the right time, and you have one really good season. But Rhett Lauder is an important piece, very important piece, and it's exciting to at least get a chance to see him get his feet wet. And I disagree slightly on the idea that it's an automatic one and done. If he throws the ball really, really well, I think that they'll continue. They'll let him throw again, just because I don't think that they would like the optics of him throwing the ball really, really well and then feeling like they'll punish him by not letting him get another chance. I could be wrong on that, but we'll see. But I don't have a huge dog in that fight one way or the other, whether he throws 5 times this season in the big leagues or he throws twice or once. I more or less just hope that going into 2025, there's a legitimate big league starter, and his name's Rhett Lauder. We'll get a chance to find out what that looks like here soon.
We'll find out on Friday morning if it's a one-off or not, because if they designate him as the 27th man, he has to go back down. There's no option. If he can throw a perfect game and he has to go back down, that player can't stay up. So now I think they could still call him back up. I don't think he has to go through the full minimum, which is probably why I think the Reds are doing this. If I'm guessing here, so we'll know. I mean, we'll know Friday morning if he's the extra man or if they actually make him an actual move and they call up a reliever or someone else as the designated 27th man. Is that September 1st though? No,
September.
No.
What are you asking? When he throws? No,
September 1st is Sunday.
It's August 30th, okay. I think, is when
Yeah.
he throws.
Yes, you still have a couple of days before the rosters expand 2 more players.
Yeah. All right. You had mentioned it on the top of the broadcast. The Dragons are a fun team to watch. Reds MILB is starting to heat up for at least 2 teams in this organization. The other 2 teams are just counting down the days for their season to be over. Nick, what do you have on the Reds MILB front tonight?
Yeah, tough day for the Louisville Bats. They get swept in a doubleheader. They lose both games 2-1. Looks like in game 2, Zach Maxwell gave up the winning run. Louisville was the home team on the road, playing a makeup game. So they lost game 2. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot that happened other than Yasmer Zulueta did throw an inning and a third scoreless, so that was good to see. And then Zach Maxwell struck out 3, but did give up what proved to be the winning run. In game 1, Connor Phillips threw a pretty solid game. 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts, hit 100 miles per hour, got 8 whiffs on 29 swings. 67% of his pitches were in the strike zone, so that's good to see. Did give up 6 hard hit balls. Feels like he's just caught in between the throwing strikes or getting shelled stage. But nonetheless, a much more positive performance from Phillips than we've seen in quite a while. So hopefully that's something that he can build off of. Brett Suter, 2 perfect innings, 2 strikeouts. Velocity was down 1 to 3 miles per hour. I'm not really sure how much that matters with Suter, but he did not allow a base runner or a hard hit ball. So that's good to see. Joey Weimer in game 1 was 1 for 2 with a double and a walk. And in game 2 was 1 for 3, scored a run. So Weimer's starting to play a little bit better after a really tough start in the Reds organization. Chattanooga, they are losing 7-1 to Birmingham. Unless they have a miraculous comeback, that would be loss number 82, putting them 2 losses away from their most losses since they rejoined the Southern League in the 70s. Tyler Callahan left the game. I don't know why. He did not get an official at bat. Maybe he was hit by a pitch. I don't know. I'm going to do some research on that, but he had that big long on base streak. So we'll see what happened there. Not a whole lot other than that. All right, we do have finals of the good stuff, though. Dayton, they won 5-3. They come back from down 3-0. Win number 70 on the year. They're now 70-52. They have won 11 out of their last 13 games. This is a big win over West Michigan because West Michigan is one of the 2 teams that are chasing them. They have a 6-game series, so this stopped allowing West Michigan, if they were to sweep the whole series, having any chance of catching them. Cam Collier had his long on-base streak snapped. He was 0 for 3, did drive in a run. Hector Rodriguez, 2 for 4, stole his 10th bag of the year. Ethan O'Donnell, 2 for 4, stole his 26th bag of the year. Leo Balcazar, 1 for 3 with a walk. That one hit was actually the game-tying single. And then John Michael Fail, 1 for 4 with an RBI. And then last but not least, down to Daytona and Low A. They split a doubleheader with Palm Beach. They lose game 1 4-3, bounce back and win game 2 3-1. Tortugas now 61-59. They now have a 5-game lead for a second half playoff spot. In the 2 games combined, Sammy Stafora was 2 for 7. Ricardo Cabrera, really nice day, 3 for 6, hit his 11th homer of the year. Eastman Pineda, 2 for 5 with a walk. Both of his hits, hard hits, including one at 103 miles per hour. And then Peyton Stovall, 1 for 6 with a walk. That's your Reds MILB.
All right, we have the who, what, when, where, and why just in a second. Alex said that he supered last night, and we did not get to it. I thought we did get to everything, but there's a chance that maybe Alex just wasn't watching the show when we actually got to it. I don't know. I did not see Alex's response. I just want everybody to know, and Alex to know, that I was looking for it, and I still haven't found it. I've dug through the chat as best I can. If someone else sees it, copy and paste it in the bottom there so I can make sure we get to it before we sign off. We have the who, what, when, where, and why next. Little Rhett Louder, but there's also a Thomas Rhett. You like that? Is that a big league? Is that a big league segue? Some are asking. Anyways, we have a little who, what, when, where, and why, Nick, and let you tell them all about it.
All right. Weird start time tomorrow. 5:10 p.m. It'll be Julian Aguiar up against the lefty JP Sears. JP Sears comes in 10-9, 4.35 ERA, 4.55 FIP. A 11th round pick in 2017 of the Mariners out of the Citadel. Fun fact, Sears was the first player from the Citadel to play in the big league since former Reds legend Asher Wojciechowski. Sears was traded to the Yankees just a few months after being drafted, and then the Yankees traded him to the A's in 2022 for Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino. In 2023, Sears was the A's mainstay in their rotation. He led them in everything: games started, innings pitched, strikeouts. He was 5-14 with a 4.54 ERA, the only pitcher to stay in their rotation all year. He also set an A's record last year for most hit batters in a season, so he is David Bell's nemesis. Sears relies on 5 pitches, a 4-seamer, sweeper, changeup, sinker, and slider. Fastball averages just 92 miles per hour. He had been pitching very well up until his last start. He gave up 7 runs on 9 hits, didn't get through 4 innings against the Brewers. But prior to that, was 3-0 with a 1.57 ERA in his previous 4 starts. Had gone 7+ in all of those starts. Only faced the Reds once in his career, 3 2/3 in relief in 2022 at GABP when he was with the Yankees. Ty France, I would expect he probably gets the day off because he is 1 for 17 in his career against Sears. The one hit was a homer. Rosario also probably should get the day off. He is 0 for 10. India's 1 for 1 with a double. Stevenson is 0 for 1. And then Julian Aguiar, be the first real starting pitcher the A's have saw all series. So shout out to Julian Aguiar for being the Reds' first real starter. Coming off a really nice start in Pittsburgh, 6 innings of 2-run ball, only allowed 5 base runners in that start. And this will be Julian Aguiar's Great American Ballpark debut.
That it will. Start time again tomorrow at 5:10. Thomas Rhett, not Rhett Louder. Thomas Rhett will be playing a concert after the game. Fun fact: we had the season ticket package that we did together for some of you in the chat that you know, and the games that we did not have, or we had the extra games. No one picked this game, largely because it's a Thursday against the Oakland A's. We put it on the Game Time app, right? And when I tell you those tickets got bought within like the first 8 hours of them being on the website. This is back in March. I was like, why is somebody buying August 29th tickets to the Oakland Athletics game? And turns out, well, they just want to go see country music, I guess. So there is that. All right, folks. I don't see any supers to get to tonight, which is you got something to add. You got something to add.
I found our super from Alex.
Oh, man, you're digging deep into the well. What do we got?
I had to dig. I couldn't even find it on the thing. I don't even know what it means, though, but I can't understand burning your bench left-handed bat to pinch
did that.
run.
We did that.
Did we do that one? Okay.
We 100% did that one. 100%. In fact, I would put my entire paycheck from Chatterbox all year long on that we got to that. Guarantee it. He was talking about he doesn't understand why you would burn
Benson.
I think it was Benson at the time. Benson pinch ran, and then I guess he came up and he didn't understand why he brought in Rosario. So that's kind of when we got into that discussion, I guess. But that's water under the bridge, as they say. Folks, we keep wondering when these numbers from you guys are going to go down, and I don't know when it is, but I very much appreciate your support. It's quite remarkable at this point. And if you haven't already, as we've said before on the show, don't be shy to download that podcast tomorrow and just let Alexa play that thing into the abyss if you need to, right? Just a little bit of help goes a long way. 5-star review if you haven't already. We would love that. Give us a rating on any other podcast platform possibly, but more importantly, go download the podcast tomorrow, and we'll be back. I'm going to try to bring a better mood tomorrow, okay? That's going to be my goal. I'm going to try to bring a better mood, and I promise that I will, all right? Much love to all of you. Go Reds. We'll get them tomorrow.